Assalamu alaikum, my dear brothers and sisters. I want to ask you a very important question today. How many of us are walking through life pretending that everything is fine, when deep down our hearts are heavy and our souls are restless? We smile, we laugh, we act as if nothing is wrong, but inside we may be struggling, lost, or exhausted. My message to you today is simple yet urgent. Stop pretending. Stop hiding your pain. Because the truth about happiness is not what most people believe, and ignoring it could cost you more than you realize. Let us take a few moments together to reflect on the hidden truth about happiness and why it is waiting for you, if only you are ready to see it. Many of us believe that happiness can be found in the way we appear to the world. We think that if we dress well, smile at the right moments, and post the perfect pictures online, people will see us as happy, and somehow that will make us truly happy. But the truth is far from this. Happiness is not something that can be measured by appearances. It does not come from how many people like our photos, how many compliments we receive, or even how successful we seem in the eyes of others. All of these things are fleeting, temporary, and often misleading. You can have all of the wealth, recognition, and social approval in the world, yet your heart can remain empty and restless. Think for a moment about the times you have felt truly joyful. Was it when someone admired you, or when you showed the world that you were fine? Or was it in moments when your heart was at peace, when you felt content in your own soul, when you could simply be yourself without needing to perform for anyone else? True happiness is not about the image you project, it is about the peace that resides within your heart. It is an inner state that no one can see unless you allow it to shine naturally from within. The problem is that many of us live our lives constantly trying to convince others that everything is fine, and in doing so, we often deceive ourselves. We put on a mask, and over time, we start to believe in that mask more than in our own reality. We start to think that if we can make others believe we are happy, then perhaps we will feel happy too. But happiness is not borrowed from the approval of others. It is cultivated from within. No amount of praise, recognition, or admiration can replace the inner contentment that comes from a heart at peace. We often forget that appearances are fragile. They are like glass, beautiful and reflective on the outside, but they can shatter easily when pressure is applied. When you build your sense of happiness on what people see, you are building it on something unstable. A kind word, a social media post, or a fleeting moment of attention might give you a temporary feeling of satisfaction, but it cannot sustain your heart through the trials of life. Life will always have challenges, difficulties, and moments of sadness, and if your happiness depends on appearances, it will crumble under these pressures. It is also important to understand that comparing yourself to others can make the situation worse. When you focus on how happy others seem, how successful they appear, or how many people admire them, you begin to measure your own worth and happiness against illusions. Many people are struggling behind closed doors, many hearts are restless, and many souls are longing for peace, even if no one can see it. True happiness is not about looking better than others. It is about being at peace with yourself and your life, regardless of what anyone else is doing. So, how do we move from pretending to real happiness? It begins with honesty with yourself. You must be willing to look within and acknowledge your true feelings, your fears, your struggles, and even your weaknesses. It is only when you face your reality without judgment or denial that you can begin to cultivate real happiness. This honesty allows you to take responsibility for your own peace and contentment, instead of relying on external validation. Another key part of finding true happiness is understanding that it comes in small moments, often unnoticed by the world. It can be found in a simple act of kindness, in helping someone without expecting anything in return, in appreciating the beauty of a sunset, or in taking a moment to be grateful for what you already have. These small, genuine experiences nourish the heart and cultivate an inner peace that appearances can never provide. When you focus on these moments, your happiness becomes something real and enduring, not a performance for others. Moreover, it is essential to nurture your connection with Allah, for He is the source of all peace and contentment. When your heart is connected to Him, your perspective changes. You begin to see life differently, and your happiness becomes less dependent on external circumstances. You start to understand that even in the midst of challenges, there is a source of peace that cannot be shaken. This spiritual connection allows you to live authentically, without the need to pretend or impress others, because your happiness comes from a deeper, lasting place. Remember, happiness is not about perfection. You do not need to have it all figured out, and you do not need to appear flawless to anyone. Real happiness is about accepting yourself, embracing your reality, and finding peace in your heart, despite life's imperfections. It is about letting go of the need to perform, the need to prove yourself, and the need to hide behind appearances. When you do this, you free yourself from the heavy burden of pretending and open the door to true, lasting joy. So today I ask you to reflect on your own life. Are you seeking happiness in appearances, in the approval of others, or in fleeting moments of recognition? Or are you willing to look within, be honest with yourself, and cultivate the peace that comes from your heart, your actions, and your connection with Allah? True happiness is waiting for you, not in what others see, but in the authenticity and sincerity of your own soul. Many of us live with a habit that may seem harmless at first, but in reality, it slowly harms our hearts and minds. That habit is pretending that everything is fine. We tell ourselves, and sometimes others, that we are okay, even when we are struggling deeply. We hide our pain behind a smile. We laugh when we feel broken inside. And we convince ourselves that if we ignore our problems, they will simply go away. But my dear brothers and sisters, pretending does not heal. It only delays the process of true healing. Life is filled with trials, challenges, and moments of difficulty. These challenges are not meant to be ignored or hidden away. They are opportunities for growth, reflection, and transformation. When we pretend that everything is fine, we are refusing to face reality. We are refusing to acknowledge our pain, our grief, our fears, and our struggles. This refusal may seem like protection at first, but in reality, it is like covering a wound with a bandage without cleaning it first. The wound does not heal, it festers. And over time, the pain grows, even if we cannot see it on the surface. Think about the times in your own life when you have tried to ignore your problems. Perhaps you have faced disappointment, heartbreak, or loss. You may have smiled, laughed, and carried on as if nothing had happened. But inside, the emotions were still there. They were not gone. They were waiting, quietly growing heavier each day. Pretending may provide temporary relief, but it does not offer the long-term peace and healing that your heart truly needs. Acknowledging your pain is the first step toward healing. It is not weakness to admit that you are struggling. It is courage. It is the recognition that your heart is human, that your soul is sensitive, and that you deserve care and attention. When we face our reality, we give ourselves the chance to work through it, to reflect on it, and to grow stronger because of it. Pretending only keeps us stuck in a cycle of denial, preventing us from moving forward and finding the peace we long for. Many people fear that if they admit their struggles, they will be judged or seen as weak. But the truth is, every human being experiences pain. Every one of us carries burdens, whether visible or hidden. It is part of being human. To acknowledge your struggles is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of honesty and self-respect. It is a recognition that your emotions matter and that your heart deserves attention and care. Pretending everything is fine may protect your image in the eyes of others, but it does nothing to protect your heart. Another danger of pretending is that it prevents us from seeking help when we need it most. When we act as if everything is fine, we close the door on support, guidance, and comfort that others may offer. We isolate ourselves unnecessarily, believing that we must carry our burdens alone. But life was never meant to be lived in isolation. Sharing your struggles, even with one trusted person, can lighten the load, bring clarity, and help you see solutions you may not have considered. Pretending may feel easier in the short term, but it prolongs suffering and delays the path to healing. It is also important to understand that pretending can affect not only your inner state, but your relationships with others. When you hide your true feelings, your loved ones may not know how to support you. They may sense something is wrong, but cannot help if you do not share your reality. By pretending, we unintentionally create distance between ourselves and those who care about us. True connection, true love, and true support come from honesty, not from masks or illusions. When you open your heart, others can stand with you, guide you, and help you heal. Healing begins with small steps. It does not require you to reveal everything all at once or to solve all your problems immediately. It begins with the courage to acknowledge your pain to yourself, to name it, and to sit with it without judgment. Reflect on what you are feeling. Understand that your emotions are valid and allow yourself to experience them fully. This is the first step toward letting go of the pretense and moving toward genuine peace. My dear brothers and sisters, it is also essential to understand that life is not meant to be perfect. No one is free from difficulties, setbacks, or challenges. Pretending that everything is perfect or that your struggles do not exist is not realistic. True peace comes from accepting reality as it is, from facing your trials with patience, and from seeking solutions with sincerity. When you stop pretending, you allow yourself to grow spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. You become more resilient, more compassionate, and more aware of your own strength. Finally, remember that Allah is aware of everything in your heart. He knows your pain, your struggles, and your hidden worries. You do not need to hide from Him, and you do not need to hide from yourself. He created you with the capacity to endure, to heal, and to find peace. By facing your struggles honestly, seeking help when needed, and connecting with your Creator, you open the door to a deeper, lasting sense of happiness and contentment that pretending can never provide. So today, I ask you to reflect on the areas of your life where you may be pretending. Ask yourself, am I avoiding my pain? Am I hiding my struggles from myself and from others? Am I willing to face reality with honesty and courage? Remember, pretending everything is fine may seem easier at first, but it only prolongs suffering. True healing begins when you acknowledge your pain, confront your challenges, and allow yourself to move forward with sincerity, faith, and courage. So far, we have spoken about the dangers of pretending everything is fine and the importance of facing your struggles honestly. Now, let us reflect on something that is often overlooked but is incredibly powerful: gratitude. Many of us think that happiness is found in acquiring more, achieving more, or reaching the next milestone in life. We look at what we do not have and allow it to overshadow everything we already possess. This constant focus on what is missing creates a restless heart, a mind that never settles, and a soul that never feels satisfied. Yet the key to real lasting happiness often lies not in what we gain, but in what we are grateful for. Gratitude is more than simply saying thank you. It is a mindset, a way of seeing the world, a recognition of the countless blessings that surround us, often unnoticed. Too often, we take the simple things for granted: the air we breathe, the health we enjoy, the loved ones who care for us, the food on our table, and even the small opportunities we are given each day. These blessings may seem ordinary, yet they are extraordinary when we pause to truly recognize them. The practice of gratitude turns what we have into enough and allows our hearts to find contentment in the present moment, rather than constantly yearning for something else. Consider this: if you were to sit quietly and list all the things you have been blessed with, you would realize how much you already possess. Perhaps you have a family who loves you, friends who support you, a home that shelters you, and the ability to experience life each day. Maybe you have knowledge, skills, or opportunities that others would dream of having. When we consciously focus on these blessings, we begin to shift our perspective. Happiness is no longer dependent on circumstances or possessions that may change, but on the recognition of what is already present in our lives. Yet, it is not always easy to feel grateful, especially during difficult times. When life challenges us, our minds often dwell on what is missing or what has gone wrong. This is natural, but it is also important to train the heart to find gratitude even in adversity. Consider that every difficulty carries a lesson. Every trial is an opportunity to grow, and every hardship can bring you closer to understanding yourself and your reliance on Allah. By focusing on gratitude even in challenging circumstances, we strengthen our resilience and develop a deeper, more lasting sense of peace. Gratitude also transforms the way we relate to others. When we recognize and appreciate the kindness and support we receive, our relationships become richer and more meaningful. We stop taking people for granted, and instead, we begin to acknowledge their value and the role they play in our lives. This not only increases our happiness, but also spreads positivity to those around us. Happiness is rarely found in isolation. It grows in connection, in appreciation, and in the mutual recognition of goodness. It is also important to understand that gratitude does not mean ignoring our challenges or pretending that difficulties do not exist. It is not a form of denial or a mask to cover pain. Instead, gratitude allows us to see that even amidst trials, there are still blessings to be found. A person may be facing illness, loss, or financial difficulty, yet they can still cultivate gratitude by recognizing the support of loved ones, the strength within themselves, or the opportunities that remain. Gratitude does not erase hardship, but it changes the way we experience it. It brings balance to the heart and prevents despair from taking over. When we fail to practice gratitude, we fall into a dangerous cycle of dissatisfaction. We focus on what we lack, compare ourselves to others, and constantly strive for more. This endless pursuit can leave the heart empty, no matter how much we achieve. On the other hand, when we cultivate gratitude, our hearts find rest. We recognize that while life may not be perfect, it is filled with countless moments of goodness that deserve acknowledgement. Happiness begins to grow from within, not from external accomplishments or appearances. One of the most beautiful aspects of gratitude is that it strengthens our connection with Allah. When we recognize the blessings He has given us, we are reminded of His mercy, His generosity, and His constant presence in our lives. This awareness deepens our faith and reminds us that everything we have is a gift and that we are never alone in our journey. Gratitude transforms our perspective. We begin to see life not as a series of challenges to complain about, but as a series of opportunities to appreciate, learn, and grow closer to our Creator. So my dear brothers and sisters, I urge you to take a moment each day to reflect on what you are truly grateful for. Write it down, think about it, or share it with someone you trust. The simple act of recognizing your blessings can change the way you experience life. It can shift your focus from what is missing to what is present, from dissatisfaction to contentment, from restlessness to peace. Gratitude is a powerful tool that allows your heart to feel happiness in a way that appearances, possessions, and achievements never can. Happiness does not always arrive in grand moments or in the fulfillment of every desire. Often it is found quietly, in the small acknowledgements of life's blessings. When you cultivate gratitude, you begin to see the beauty that exists around you and within you. You begin to understand that happiness is not about perfection, nor is it about pretending everything is fine. It is about recognizing, appreciating, and valuing the goodness in your life, no matter how small it may seem. Remember, my dear brothers and sisters, the heart that is grateful is a heart that is content. The mind that recognizes blessings is a mind at peace. And the soul that acknowledges the gifts of Allah is a soul that can experience true happiness, even amidst life's challenges. Practice gratitude, not as a routine or a formality, but as a way of seeing the world and living your life. Allow it to transform your perspective, your heart, and ultimately your happiness. We have spoken about facing our struggles honestly and the power of gratitude. Now let us reflect on something even deeper. The connection between true happiness and submission to Allah. Many people spend their entire lives chasing happiness in the wrong places: wealth, recognition, relationships, or possessions. They believe that achieving more, earning more, or acquiring more will finally fill the emptiness inside. Yet no matter how much we gain, something still feels incomplete. That is because true happiness is not found in the material or temporary. It is found in the spiritual, in the connection with the one who created us, who knows our hearts, and who alone can fill the void within our souls. Happiness that comes from Allah is different from any other form of happiness. It is not dependent on circumstances, people, or possessions. It does not vanish when challenges arise or when things do not go as planned. This happiness is rooted in the heart, nurtured by faith, and strengthened by trust in Allah. When you submit your heart to Him, you acknowledge that He knows what is best for you, that His wisdom surpasses your understanding, and that His plan is perfect, even when life feels confusing or difficult. Submission is not about giving up or resigning yourself to hardship. It is about trusting that Allah is with you, guiding you, and providing for you in ways that you may not immediately see. Many of us misunderstand submission. We think it is a restriction, a limitation on our freedom, or a burden to follow certain rules. But in reality, submission is liberation. When you submit your heart to Allah, you are letting go of the false burdens you carry, expectations, comparisons, worries, and fears. You begin to understand that life is not about controlling everything, but about surrendering to what is beyond your control and finding peace in knowing that Allah is always aware of your situation. This surrender brings relief to the heart, clarity to the mind, and a deep sense of contentment that cannot be achieved through worldly means. Consider the times when you have been overwhelmed by worry or anxiety. You may have tried to solve every problem on your own, carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. Submission to Allah does not mean you stop trying or striving for solutions. It means you recognize that some things are beyond your control and that ultimate guidance and support come from Him. When you let go of the illusion that you must control everything, your heart becomes lighter and peace begins to take root. This is a form of happiness that is resilient because it is anchored in faith, not circumstance. Happiness through submission also changes the way we view trials and challenges. Life will always present difficulties, illness, loss, disappointment, and hardship. These moments can feel unbearable if we rely solely on our own strength or seek happiness only in the material world. But when we submit to Allah, we understand that every trial carries wisdom and every challenge is an opportunity to grow closer to Him. We start to see that hardships are not punishments but tests, and that passing through them with patience and trust brings a profound inner peace that no temporary success can provide. Furthermore, submission cultivates gratitude on a much deeper level. When you recognize that Allah is the provider of every blessing, every moment of ease, and every opportunity in your life, gratitude becomes natural. You are no longer taking life for granted or focusing only on what you lack. Instead, your heart is filled with appreciation for the countless favors seen and unseen that surround you every day. Gratitude in the context of faith strengthens happiness because it is connected to a higher purpose and a deeper understanding of life's true blessings. Many people struggle with restlessness because they are disconnected from their Creator. They chase fleeting pleasures, social approval, and material achievements, hoping to fill the emptiness inside. But no matter how much they achieve, the heart remains unsatisfied. Submission to Allah is like a key that opens the door to a different kind of satisfaction. A satisfaction that comes from knowing that your life has meaning, that your efforts are seen, and that your heart is aligned with a purpose far greater than temporary gains. It is also important to understand that this form of happiness is accessible to everyone, regardless of circumstances. You do not need wealth, status, or perfection to experience the peace that comes from submission. Whether you are young or old, wealthy or struggling, healthy or unwell, Allah's presence in your heart can bring contentment. This is the true secret of happiness. It is not found in what the world gives you, but in the peace that comes from trusting and submitting to Allah with sincerity and devotion. So, my dear brothers and sisters, I urge you to reflect on your relationship with your Creator. Where are you seeking happiness? Is it in temporary things that cannot satisfy the heart, or is it in the connection with Allah, who knows your heart and understands your needs? Submission to Allah is not a burden. It is the path to liberation, to peace, and to a happiness that endures through the trials and challenges of life. Take the time to strengthen this connection. Pray sincerely. Remember Allah often and reflect on His guidance in your life. When you make Him the center of your heart and your focus, your happiness will no longer be fragile, dependent on external factors, or fleeting. It will be real, resilient, and deeply fulfilling. Remember, true happiness is not found in wealth, recognition, or appearances. It is found in submission to Allah, in trust, in gratitude, and in knowing that He is with you every step of your journey. When your heart surrenders to Him, peace naturally follows, and the contentment that you seek becomes a living reality. As we continue, my dear brothers and sisters, I want to speak about something that affects almost everyone in this modern world: comparison. It is a silent thief that takes away happiness and replaces it with restlessness and dissatisfaction. Many of us look at the lives of others and begin to measure our own worth, success, and happiness against theirs. We see the achievements, the possessions, or the apparent joy of someone else, and we start to feel as if we are lacking, as if we are falling behind, as if we are not enough. But this habit of comparing ourselves to others is one of the greatest barriers to true happiness. Comparison is dangerous because it is often based on appearances, not reality. Social media has amplified this problem, showing carefully curated glimpses of other people's lives. We see the smiling faces, the vacations, the celebrations, and the successes, and we forget that behind every smile there may be struggle, pain, or hardship. No one's life is perfect. No one is without difficulty. When we compare ourselves to others, we are comparing our full reality with someone else's highlight reel, and naturally we feel inadequate. But true happiness is not found in looking at what others have or appear to have. It is found in recognizing and valuing what you already possess in your own journey and in your own heart. Many of us fall into the trap of thinking that someone else's success diminishes our own. We believe that if someone else achieves something, it takes away from what we can achieve. But life does not work that way. There is enough opportunity, enough goodness, and enough blessing for each of us. The more we focus on others, the more we lose sight of our own path and our own potential. Happiness grows when we shift our attention inward, when we focus on our own progress, our own growth, and our own connection with Allah. Another aspect of comparison is the constant pursuit of validation. We compare ourselves to others to see if we measure up, to see if we are respected, admired, or envied. But this pursuit is endless, and it rarely brings contentment. Approval from others is fleeting. It can be taken away at any moment, and it does not guarantee inner peace. When you rely on external validation for your happiness, you are building your foundation on something unstable. True happiness comes from self-acceptance, gratitude, and trust in Allah, not from measuring your life against someone else's. Comparison also breeds jealousy, resentment, and frustration. When we focus too much on what others have, we begin to feel unhappy with our own lives. We overlook the blessings and opportunities that are uniquely ours. We forget that our journey is different from anyone else's, that our purpose is unique, and that the challenges we face are part of our growth. Every person's life is a story with its own struggles, lessons, and achievements. Comparing chapters from one story with chapters from another story is neither fair nor helpful. Instead of comparing yourself to others, I encourage you to focus on your own path. Reflect on where you are, how far you have come, and the progress you have made. Celebrate your successes. No matter how small they may seem, acknowledge your efforts, your growth, and the challenges you have overcome. When you focus on your own journey, your heart finds peace and happiness begins to flourish naturally. It is also important to understand that comparison can distract us from what really matters. We spend so much time measuring ourselves against others that we forget the true sources of happiness, our connection with Allah, our character, our deeds, and the way we treat others. Life is not a competition, it is a test. Our ultimate success and happiness are determined not by the world's standards, but by our intentions, our actions, and our relationship with our Creator. When we align our focus with these eternal values, comparison loses its power and our hearts find rest. Many people believe that seeing others succeed or achieve should make them feel envious or inadequate, but it does not have to be that way. Instead, let it inspire you. Let it remind you that growth is possible, that your journey is ongoing, and that with patience, effort, and reliance on Allah, you can achieve your own goals. Happiness grows when we celebrate others without diminishing ourselves, when we are grateful for what we have, and when we trust in Allah's plan for our lives. My dear brothers and sisters, I urge you to take a moment and reflect on your habits of comparison. Are you measuring your happiness against others? Are you allowing someone else's life, possessions, or achievements to determine your own sense of worth? Remember, this is a path to restlessness and dissatisfaction. True happiness is found when you focus on your own journey, embrace your unique blessings, and cultivate gratitude for what you already have. Ultimately, comparison is a distraction from what really matters. It blinds us to the beauty of our own lives. It keeps us focused on illusions, and it prevents our hearts from finding contentment. Let go of the need to measure yourself against anyone else. Celebrate your own progress, cherish your own blessings, and seek happiness through sincerity, gratitude, and submission to Allah. This is the way to a heart that is at peace, a mind that is at rest, and a soul that can truly experience lasting joy. My dear brothers and sisters, as we continue this reflection on true happiness, I want to talk about a habit that many of us carry without even realizing it. A habit that weighs heavily on the heart and mind, the burden of pretending. So often in life we feel the need to wear a mask, to hide our true feelings, and to act as if everything is fine even when it is not. We do this in our homes, at work, among friends, and even on social media. But the truth is, carrying this mask, living behind this facade, and pretending to be okay when you are not, is exhausting. It drains your energy, clouds your mind, and prevents your heart from finding the peace it longs for. Pretending can feel like protection at first. We tell ourselves that if others do not see our struggles, we will avoid judgment, pity, or misunderstanding. We fear that if we reveal our true emotions, we will appear weak or vulnerable. But in reality, this protection is an illusion. Pretending does not shield the heart from pain. It simply keeps it locked inside. the longer we maintain this pretense, the heavier the burden becomes, and the more distant we feel from ourselves and those around us. It is important to understand that vulnerability is not weakness. On the contrary, acknowledging your struggles and being honest about your feelings requires great courage. To say, I am hurting or I am struggling, is a sign of strength, not failure. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we create space for healing, for connection, and for support. Pretending, on the other hand, isolates us and traps us in a cycle of emotional suppression. We may appear fine on the outside, but inside, our hearts are quietly struggling, and the pain grows heavier with each passing day. Consider how pretending affects our relationships. When we hide our true emotions from others, even those who care about us, we unintentionally create distance. Our loved ones may sense that something is wrong, but without honesty, they cannot help, guide, or support us. True connection is built on authenticity. When we share our hearts with others, we allow them to understand us, to walk alongside us, and to provide the care that can lighten our load. Pretending may seem easier in the short term, but it prevents meaningful relationships from forming and keeps our hearts isolated. Another danger of pretending is that it delays self-reflection and personal growth. When we avoid facing our true feelings, we miss the opportunity to understand ourselves, our needs, and our desires. We remain stuck in old patterns, unaware of what truly affects our happiness and well-being. By acknowledging our struggles, we open the door to self-awareness, insight, and transformation. Pretending keeps us stagnant. Honesty sets us free. It is also essential to recognize the spiritual dimension of this habit. When we hide our pain and wear a mask for others, we may forget that Allah knows everything in our hearts. He is aware of every struggle, every fear, every tear, and every hidden worry. We do not need to hide from Him. And pretending does nothing to change what He knows. In fact, turning to Allah with honesty and sincerity can bring relief that no mask or pretense ever could. Prayer, reflection, and reliance on Allah allow the heart to release its burdens and find true peace. So how do we let go of this burden of pretending? It begins with small steps. Start by acknowledging your feelings to yourself. Sit quietly, reflect, and name what is in your heart without judgment. Recognize that your emotions are valid and that it is okay to feel pain, sadness, fear, or uncertainty. Acceptance is the first step toward freedom. Once you are honest with yourself, consider sharing your feelings with someone you trust, a friend, a family member, or a mentor. Speaking your truth can lighten the heart and provide a perspective that you may not have seen on your own. Another way to release this burden is through prayer and reflection. Speak to Allah openly about your struggles, your fears, and your desires. Confess what you have been hiding and seek His guidance. There is a unique relief that comes from unburdening your heart to your Creator, knowing that He is always listening and that He cares for your well-being. This connection strengthens the soul and provides a sense of support that no human pretense can replace. Remember, my dear brothers and sisters, life is not about appearing perfect. It is not about showing others that everything is fine. Life is about sincerity, authenticity, and connection, both with ourselves and with Allah. When we let go of the burden of pretending, we allow our hearts to breathe, our minds to rest, and our souls to heal. We become more aware of our true needs, more compassionate toward ourselves, and more open to the love and support of those around us. Finally, understand that pretending may seem like an easy way to avoid discomfort, but it is a temporary solution at best. The heart cannot remain at peace while hiding the truth. Real happiness, contentment, and inner calm come when we confront reality, embrace our vulnerability, and allow ourselves to be honest, first with ourselves, then with others, and ultimately with Allah. It is in this honesty, in this courage to be real, that the heart finds freedom, the mind finds clarity, and the soul experiences lasting peace. So today, my dear brothers and sisters, I ask you to reflect on your life. Where are you pretending? Where are you hiding behind a mask? Are you allowing yourself to be honest with your heart, with your loved ones, and with Allah? Remember, letting go of the burden of pretending is not a sign of weakness. It is the path to true strength, freedom, and happiness. Do not carry what you do not need to carry. Speak your truth, release your burdens, and allow your heart to find the peace it has been longing for. As we come to the final lesson, My dear brothers and sisters, I want to speak about something very important. The idea that happiness is not something we find by waiting for life to be perfect. It is something we cultivate through action. Too often, people believe that they will be happy when the circumstances are right, when the challenges have passed, when the world aligns with their desires. We wait for the ideal moment, the perfect opportunity, or the flawless situation, thinking that only then will peace and contentment arrive. But the truth is, happiness is not found in waiting. It is found in the way we live, in the choices we make, and in the actions we take every day. Waiting for perfection can be a trap. Life is never perfect. There will always be challenges, difficulties, and moments of uncertainty. If we insist on waiting for the right conditions, we may spend our entire lives hoping for a happiness that never comes. True happiness, however, is cultivated in the present moment. It grows when we act with intention, kindness, and sincerity, regardless of our circumstances. It is built through small, consistent choices that nurture our hearts, our relationships, and our connection with Allah. One of the most powerful ways to cultivate happiness is through helping others. When we give without expecting anything in return, when we support someone in need, when we offer kindness to those around us, we experience a sense of fulfillment that nothing else can provide. Happiness is amplified when it is shared. The joy of giving, of lifting another person's burden, of offering compassion and care, creates a ripple effect that not only benefits others, but also nourishes our own hearts. The actions we take to serve and uplift others bring meaning, purpose, and deep contentment to our lives. Another way to find happiness through action is through forgiveness. Holding on to anger, resentment, or grudges keeps our hearts heavy and restless. When we choose to forgive, we release ourselves from the burden of negativity and allow our hearts to heal. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting or condoning wrongdoing. It means choosing peace over conflict, choosing light over darkness, and reclaiming your own happiness from the grip of past pain. Each act of forgiveness lightens the heart, creates space for joy, and strengthens the soul. Gratitude, which we have spoken about earlier, is also a form of action. It is not simply a feeling, it is a practice. Taking the time to recognize and appreciate the blessings in your life, to express thanks to those who support you, and to acknowledge the favors of Allah strengthens your connection with happiness. These actions may seem small, but over time, they transform your perspective, your heart, and your entire approach to life. They remind you that happiness is not a distant goal, it is cultivated daily through awareness, reflection, and appreciation. Another important action is self-care. We often neglect our own needs, believing that happiness depends on others or external circumstances. But taking care of your health, your mind, and your emotional well-being is an essential act of cultivating happiness. When you allow yourself to rest, to reflect, and to nurture your own heart, you create a foundation from which genuine contentment can grow. Ignoring your own needs while waiting for happiness elsewhere is a form of pretending. Taking action to care for yourself is a step toward authentic joy. Happiness is also found in pursuing personal growth. Every effort you make to improve yourself through learning, reflection, prayer, or developing good habits contributes to a sense of fulfillment. Growth may be slow and progress may be imperfect, but every small step you take toward becoming a better person strengthens your inner peace. Life does not wait for perfection, and neither should your happiness. It grows with each intentional choice to improve, to learn, and to act in ways that align with your values and purpose. It is also essential to take action in maintaining your connection with Allah. Regular prayer, remembrance, and reflection are not just rituals, they are powerful ways to cultivate happiness in the heart. When we actively nurture our spiritual life, we create a sense of peace that is resilient against the trials and uncertainties of the world. This is the ultimate form of action, choosing to align your life with the guidance of your Creator, and in doing so cultivating a lasting joy that no external circumstances can take away. So, my dear brothers and sisters, do not wait for the perfect moment to be happy. Do not postpone joy until life feels easier, smoother, or more complete. Happiness is not a destination to be reached someday. It is a path walked daily through your choices, your actions, and your intentions. Every act of kindness, every moment of forgiveness, every step toward growth, every expression of gratitude, and every effort to connect with Allah builds the foundation of true happiness. Reflect on your own life today. Ask yourself, what actions can I take right now to cultivate peace and contentment in my heart? Where can I show kindness, forgiveness, and gratitude? How can I nurture my relationship with Allah and with those around me? Remember, each small action contributes to a larger sense of happiness that is real, lasting, and independent of external circumstances. Happiness is not found in waiting for life to be perfect. It is found in the choices you make, the actions you take, and the intention behind every step you walk. Take action today. Start small, but start now. And as you do, you will discover that happiness is not a distant dream. It is a reality waiting to be cultivated in your own heart right here and right now. My dear brothers and sisters, we have journeyed together through 7 important lessons about happiness, peace, and the life of the heart. We began by understanding that true happiness is not found in appearances, in what the world sees, or in the approval of others. We learned that pretending everything is fine only delays healing and keeps our hearts restless. We reflected on the power of gratitude, recognizing the countless blessings around us that we often take for granted. We explored how submission to Allah brings peace that the world cannot provide, reminding us that happiness rooted in faith is enduring and unshakable. We spoke about the danger of comparison and how measuring our lives against others steals our contentment, emphasizing that our journey is unique and valuable. We examined the burden of pretending, understanding that honesty with ourselves, with others, and with Allah is the path to freedom and inner peace. And finally, we learned that happiness is not found in waiting for life to be perfect. It is cultivated through our actions, kindness, forgiveness, gratitude, growth, and spiritual connection. These lessons are not just ideas to reflect upon, they are steps to transform your life. Happiness is a journey, not a destination. It begins with awareness, it grows through intentional action, and it flourishes in a heart that is sincere, grateful, and connected to its Creator. No matter where you are in life, no matter the challenges you face, these principles can guide you toward a peace that endures beyond the temporary pleasures and distractions of this world. So today, I ask you to look within yourself. Are you holding on to pretense? Are you waiting for circumstances to be perfect before you allow yourself to be happy? Are you taking the time to recognize your blessings, to act with kindness, to forgive, and to nurture your connection with Allah? Begin today. Take one step, no matter how small, toward living these lessons in your life. Speak honestly with your heart, act with intention, and cultivate the peace that has been waiting for you all along. Remember, my dear brothers and sisters, happiness is not hidden. It is not found in appearances, in possessions, or in the approval of others. It is found in honesty, in gratitude, in action, and in a sincere connection with Allah. Stop pretending everything is fine before it breaks you. Look within. Take responsibility for your heart and allow yourself to experience the joy and peace that are your right as a believer, a human being, and a servant of Allah. May Allah guide us all to true happiness, to hearts that are at peace, and to lives that are filled with purpose, sincerity, and contentment. May He help us to practice these lessons daily, to cultivate joy in our hearts, and to share it with others in kindness and love. And may He bless us with a deep understanding that the true source of happiness has always been with us, waiting for us to recognize it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.